Week number 17 Waiver Wire show begins right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're breaking down all the names on screen. More names than normal for week 17 than you normally see. It's pretty plentiful, to be honest with you. TJ Hockenson out for the season. We'll break this down as well. Torn MCL and ACL. This is devastating news. We're doing all this and more. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So, torn ACL for TJ Hockenson. This is awful. Torn MCL as well. You can see right here in the play, you clearly know, when he got hit that there was massive damage to his knee. He tried to walk right after the hit incurred, and the guy was definitely incapable of walking properly. Torn MCL, torn ACL. His availability for week number 1 is going to be very much up in the air, so hang tight for more on that. But brutal blow for this team and for Hockenson owners, walking into the remainder of the 2023 season. Week 17 really is the only week, unless you play through week 18, and you shouldn't. We're also here to talk about the week 17 waiver wire, guys, so let's break all that down and more. Appreciate everybody being here. Hit that thumb up button on your way in the door. There really are only 2, maybe 3 players that are head and shoulders above all the other players on this list. And I think, we're going to talk about Zamir White in a second, and his dependency will depend on, his ability to perform for you and be an elite player. Elite running back too will depend on Jacobs in front of him. So the 2 guys that come to mind when looking at the wide range of players that you could potentially pick up based on the roster percentages of ownership are Herbert and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Preference here. Some might say, okay, McKinnon's on IR. Pacheco suffered a concussion in the Week 16 outing. His availability is very much up in the air. If you've got to weigh out the high-risk, high-reward options here for both these guys, you got to say to yourself that there's still the potential Pacheco could play. There's still the potential that the Chiefs can't get on their horse and do anything of note and struggle. They're on the struggle bus as an entire unit walking into Week 17. Whereas at least Herbert has done well every time he's been on the field. The problem is he's been injured. He keeps getting hurt. Herbert can't stay healthy. But for right now, walking into Week 17, which is all that matters, 1 week of football, Herbert is healthy. So if I had to say, I'm ranking these 2 guys, and Zamir White again will enter this conversation in a second. If I had to rank the number 1 and number 2 overall ads for week number 17, not win a league capable, but damn near amazing ads that can really be an elite running back 2 for you if all goes well, I'd have to put Khalil Herbert number 1 and Clyde Edwards-Helaire number 2. The reason Herbert ranks 1, he just had 112 yards, I believe, and a touchdown on 20 carries. He looked phenomenal in this Week 16 outing, and I just think there's a lot of upside. Rostered in 45% of leagues, so he's available in 55% of leagues. 20 carries, 1 touchdown, 112 yards. Did I say 120? 112 yards on 20 carries and a touchdown. The guy's been averaging 4.5 yards per carry on the season. So all he's done is produce. He just hasn't stayed on the field long enough to be ultra effective or consistent on any level. So Khalil Herbert is the biggest home run swing a fantasy owner could have walking into this final week. Now, the pros and cons to Week 17 waiver wire is that you potentially may not see good enough names out there to help you. And if there is one, what are the odds that you get the player? Well, given that there only should be 2 active participants in waiver claims, sometimes people just pick up people to try and snipe and all that. But you should really see the involvement of everybody dissipate. and really 2 people are, and your commissioner might even say no one else is allowed to pick up players, but there's 2 of you going at the waiver wire claims, right? So the fact that Clyde and Herbert, and Clyde's available in even more leagues than Herbert, he's only rostered in about 35% of leagues. There's a good chance that one, but maybe both these guys are available. So with 2 of you fighting and you need a running back, you might not get blocked, because if you can't get Herbert, you can get Clyde. If you can't get Clyde, you can get Herbert. Put in a claim for both of them. If you need an RB, you should land one of them. Herbert, 112 yards and a touchdown and 4.5 yards per carry on the year without any sort of competition in front of him, whereas Clyde Edwards-Helaire may or may not have, Pacheco may have the job to himself, but in a struggling offense, this is my number 1. But a very, very close second. Clyde to me feels like about 85 to 90 total yards and about a 40-50% chance of a touchdown. Herbert feels like 100 total yards and about a 60% chance of a touchdown. Not that far apart, but clearly my number 1, clearly my number 2. So let's see where else we can go with this. Okay, so Herbert 1, Clyde 2. Zamir White would probably be my 3 or my 1. I mean, he literally, if he's getting the start, maybe he's the 1 overall, but the problem is we've got Jacobs, who was maybe going to play in week number 16, ended up not playing. And so right now we're in limbo. I imagine Jacobs is probably going to play, but you never know. Quad, illness, inactive for Monday night's game, the latest report we have. But because there's a chance he does return, I think he has to rank in this 3rd spot, with even the ability to drop well below the 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 spot. Maybe even be not worthless as an ad this week, but he goes from number 3, number 1, or number 2, if Jacobs is going to play, down to below a lot of these guys. So just understand this is a volatile ranking here on White. White could definitely change. Past that, this is a mixed bag. This is a grab bag of talent. Shaheed, if you need a wide receiver, let's move all these guys over here, and I'll start ranking them along this side. So Shaheed's probably the number 4 if you need a wide receiver. The guy's capable of a big play at any moment. He's capable of taking a ball to the house at any time he catches it. He's capable of that long 60, 70+ yard touchdown on any given play. He had a pretty solid game in week number 16. Shaheed pulled in, what was it? Shaheed pulled in, I have it right here, 570 and 1 touchdown in week number 16. 5 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown. A season high of 9 targets for Shaheed. That was fantastic. And he's a consistent option if you need somebody for your wide receiver 3 spot. Flacco, honestly, you could put him number 1 overall if you needed a quarterback and you're like, I don't even think I can play Herbert. I don't think I can even play Shaheed. I don't think I can play Clyde, or even a starting Zamir White would struggle to make my flex spot. Then Flacco's your number 1. Like, it just really depends on position of need. Flacco, I've never heard so many funny comments that are true this week than centered around Flacco. Like, people would DM me or in the comments or in a live stream. I saw it all yesterday, probably about 25 times. My season's over. I ran into Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco took me out of my Week 16 matchup. Thanks to Joe Flacco, my season's done. Like, Flacco's been delivering 3 TDs. He just keeps doing it. He's probably safe for 250 and 2 with a strong chance of a 3rd touchdown. And the Browns are hungry, and the Browns are trying to win games so they can, keep this kind of remarkable finish to the 2023 season alive, march into the playoffs, and pretty much, probably, lose maybe in round 1, or if they do squeak by. This isn't a deep playoff team, I think, under Joe Flacco, but, he's been playing so well, anything's possible. So I would say that if you need a quarterback, I would have said 2-3 weeks ago that you're not winning your championship with Joe Flacco as your starting quarterback. You might as well just pack it in. But quite honestly, you absolutely can. Like, this is not something that we see translating into 2024, of course. But for right now, here and now, what Flacco's been doing, he's a solid start for you if you need to roll Flacco. So number 5 or number 1 just depends on your need for the quarterback position to be filled. Look, honestly, this is I don't even know if I'm going to rank the rest of these guys other than to loosely kind of lump them together. I would say, Justice Hill, McLaughlin, Rodriguez. Rodriguez is an interesting guy. He scored 2 touchdowns for the Washington Commanders running the football, but he was in a walking boot and is apparently injured right now. So kind of just monitor that situation. Maybe the walking boot is precautionary and he'll play week 17, but keep in mind that's kind of why we might be a little cautious with the ranking. Algier got some work, a touchdown, but Bijan looked great. I don't know that there's any consistency here enough to put like Algier right here and feel very confident. Osborne with Hockenson going down, with Addison day-to-day with the ankle. He's certainly in this conversation, as is Robinson. I almost lean Robinson slightly on upside and that the Rams are hungry and needing to win this game. I think Jameson's an interesting play right around this territory too. He plays hard. He plays tough. He needs to stay healthy. He needs to keep his head on straight. The targets have been, I think, around like 9 to 10 total targets over the last 2 games, if I remember correctly. Let me see if I pull up something that I just wrote on him on thefantasyfootballshow.com. So make sure you get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com. But looking at Jameson, solid targets right now. 2 games in a row. Plays extremely tough. I don't see any reason why he can't crack anybody's potential top 5 wide receiver ads for this coming week. But it's debatable whether it's Robinson, Osborne. I think Osborne would be the most, welcomed wide receiver ranking at this point in the waiver wire ads, just because the volume should be there. He's had some consistency in the past, and Robinson's kind of out of nowhere. But I just feel like Robinson's a hot hand right now. And it doesn't just feel like he's gotten lucky. I feel like Stafford's going to him. Stafford trusts him, and this Rams team is playing for the playoffs. They want in. They want in bad. They need to get a win. And it's, congrats to everybody that's made their championship. I'm proud of every single one of you. I'm proud of everybody that even lost, too. You're not going to always put everything together. It is what it is. But Robinson's a fantastic ad. Rodriguez, if he was healthy, I would probably put right here. Justice Hill's getting work and a very good offense, but it's Gus Edwards' team. But McLaughlin's getting work. He's decent here. Everett's getting solid targets. I think Everett's got 8 targets in 3 straight games. No touchdowns, but solid targets. You can't ask for any more than that. Okonkwo. Likely or Waller, Cameron? I'm going to go likely. Okonkwo, Algier, Carr, Kraft, these are all like down here. I don't. Kraft's okay, but that's kind of my ranking. So Herbert, Clyde, Zamir White, dependent on Jacobs, could rank 1, 2, or 3, or he could be down in this Justice Hill category. Justice Hill's sharing carries. Zamir White, if Jacobs is back, is sharing carries. So he's the only one here that's going to fluctuate based on news. Everybody else, Clyde a little bit too, but depending on Pacheco. So I guess these 2 would be the only ones that would fluctuate. Clyde would still be worthy of a top 3 or 4 overall pick, whereas White could fall down here. But Herbert, that's why he's 1. I can come in with more confidence and say I don't think his situation is changing. Clyde and Zamir's could. So that's the waiver wire week 17. Kind of short, but there are a plethora of names that could help you win a championship here in week 17. So appreciate everybody filing on in. First in the building was Melvin. Melvin, appreciate you. Ant Carter, appreciate you being here, pal. Travis Rose in the building. AR5FF, appreciate you. This is the waiver wire ranking for week number 17, which really is our last waiver wire show. I don't even know. We might briefly touch on the waivers for people that play week 18, but you play week 18. What in the hell are you doing? What in the hell is your commissioner doing? Why would you do that? Can't drop Hockenson on IR. It sucks, says Cameron. Cameron, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. Appreciate everybody being in here. Let's open the phone lines in a second here, and we'll get to it. A lot of questions this week that are going to be critical for some of you to close it out. And some of you have decisions to make for your keeper league. Some of you have decisions to make for all that. So we'll dial up and get into it.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Keep in mind, we'll also be doing the 8 p.m. show. This is not the 8 p.m. show. We're here doing the waiver wire ranking for, I got to give a nice clean to this board. It hasn't been wiped down in a while. I've got marker residue all over the place. It's just crumbling and falling off onto my keyboard here. So let me wipe all this down. We should be good to go now. All right, hit me with your questions. Dial into the show. We got Al from New York calling in right now. And if anybody has a super chat, drop it. First super chat of the evening is from DeBalt to the moon. DeBalt, appreciate you. DeBalt gets a standing O, and his question real quickly before I go to Al. Al, hold on 1 second. Tyrod, Stick, Brissett, which two from waiver wire priority? I don't know, bro. I mean, this is God. You're really going to the championship game with one of these guys as your signal caller. Who did you have last week, DeBalt? Like, who did you play last week? Are we rolling with the Raiders D hype? Probably right now. Musgrave or Kraft? You probably go with Kraft at the moment. Kraft is definitely a decent play. Definitely, I would say, like, borderline top 10, 12, but, like, that's pretty good off of... And let's see, Luke Musgrave 4 days ago won't return this week. Yeah, we don't even know what his status is. So, the easy decision, Kraft, but... Brissett, God, man. Brissett's tough. That's a tough question. I'm pretty sure he'll start this week, but we still need to await that determination. But if he's a go, I would go with Brissett, I guess. But that's a great question. I can't believe. Who was your starter this past week? DeBalt, appreciate your super chat. Al from New York, you're live.
Smitty, first and foremost, thank you. Thank you. The 2 leagues I was in, I managed to make it to the championship round. I started to the moon. My team is looking stacked. Just wanted to thank you, and I hope you had a Merry Christmas. I survived going up against Cooper. The guy I faced had Cooper, Hurts, and McCaffrey. So I survived that onslaught to make it. And, I just wanted to know for that same league, because I started Kyler. Even though Kyler was my lowest performing QB, I had Flacco on the bench and Mullins. They did better than Kyler. But for this week, I'm leaning Kyler against the Eagles, but I wanted to get your thoughts on maybe Mullins since Flacco's facing the Jets.
Yeah, Flacco's hard to sit given what he's doing, but it is a tough matchup. I would say, man, Kyler... That's a tough one, bro. Clayton, I got your super chat right here. Hang tight, pal. Appreciate you. Kyler Murray. Not a bad option. And Flacco, like, you know, it is a tough matchup, but how do you sit him? I would probably say the Eagles matchup is actually pretty good for Kyler. I think Kyler's probably going to have a pretty decent day. He's had 1 TD in every single one of his last 5 games. 2 interceptions in Week 15 against the Niners, but he still had a touchdown on... No, he didn't have on the ground. He's had 20, 49, and 32 yards on the ground the last 3 weeks. Not bad. I'd probably say give me Kyler against that Eagles secondary. That's the one vulnerable part of this team. And I think there could at least be 2 touchdowns scored by Kyler in this one. I just don't know if I can trust Joe Flacco against Kyler, you know, if I'm able to have a choice. Flacco's got 2, 3, 2, and 3 TDs in back-to-back weeks, though. It's crazy, man. But projected for about 1.5 TDs in this matchup upcoming against the Jets. So give me Kyler, but it's certainly a tough call, bro. Very tough call.
Yeah, I'm going to see how the rest of the week shakes out. I know it's hard to not start him with how on fire he's been, but I mean, there's a chance that he keeps the momentum going. But the Jets have only given up 1 good game all year and that was to Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'd probably roll with Kyler, man. It's just safer.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to end up siding with. And for the other league I'm in the championship with, would you sit Achane for Ridley?
I mean, those
I
are
know the
two.
race
Those are
one.
two very good players with high risk, high reward. It's something I probably want to decide a little later in the week, depending on Waddle, depending on Achane, depending on the news. So I'm not ready to answer that question yet. If there's no concerns about volume for Achane, and keep in mind Achane is used as a wide receiver heavily. So without Waddle, he'll be in there getting 5, 6, 7, 8 targets. Ridley just had a fire game with the 2 touchdowns and the 90 yards off 6 receptions. What a monster. Carolina's a little bit of a tough matchup, but I don't know at the end of the day it really will be if they wear him down. But the way Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars are playing very like mediocre football, I don't know that they're wearing him down. Like if it was a different feel to this Jags team. But I would say for right now, we just need to wait. We need to wait. For anybody that thinks I'm going to say Ridley 100%, and for anybody that thinks I'm just going to sit Achane, because they would sit Achane, that's not the case. Achane is going to get a lot of work. So we'll see what's going on. Keep in mind, again, Achane plays a lot of wide receiver, and people don't realize that, especially when like Jeff Wilson was in there. People are like, oh my God, Jeff Wilson's in there. Like, yeah, did you see that Achane was at wide receiver at the same time? They're both on the field at the same time, half the time that Wilson was on the field. People don't realize that. They just Monday morning quarterback it. They just box score Bobby this thing. There's still upside, huge upside with Achane, monster upside. And people can say whatever they want. There's so many people that are so upset at him, and you're deciding between a flex spot right now. Okay, if you lose because your flex spot scores 8 points, then your team wasn't going to probably make it, anyway. Like, you can't, everybody's got to relax. Ridley's a great play, though. This is why I'm not saying, hey, start Achane without hesitation. Ridley just scored 2 touchdowns. Ridley is showing some form of what we thought he'd be all year long. He's starting to be consistent, or not consistent. He's starting to deliver those big games. All right, appreciate you, bro.
Thanks, maybe.
Later. Phone lines open if anybody wants to dial in. This super chat here from Clayton says, half PPR lost Hockenson, Kraft or Kincaid. Kraft right now. For right now, Kraft. I hope that Kincaid does gain favor in the NFL playoffs, but I think we're probably, looking at a potential like wait and see mode for Kincaid, So that means that he probably is not going to help anybody this week. Anyway. All right, appreciate you all. Dial into the phone line. Phone line's open. And super chats will be answered in the order in which they're received. This one from Chuster. Appreciate you. He says, thanks for your help getting me to the final game. I keep getting the QB wrong each week. Goff, Lawrence, Mullins, Jake Browning, Howell, Goff. Pick up Flacco. I would say yes if it wasn't the Jets, but the answer is Goff. Need to know what your gut says. My gut says Goff. Does anybody in the chat disagree? Goff feels like the easy call. Like the easy call. Okay. Super Flex League. And for some of the comments in the chat about if Mostert, Achane, like Mostert's a must start. Achane and Mostert both get volume. Swift or Achane? Swift probably for now. Like Swift looks really solid. He's getting good work and they want to run the ball. And they're having some good success, bro. So, that is one where I would say probably go Swift. But Achane could be at any moment a top 5 running back producer. He holds the highest running back score in fantasy football in the year. And the 2 consecutive games after were the freaking, I want to say he was like the 11th or 14th or something. He's had 2 massive scoring games back to back after that highest scoring game of the year for fantasy running backs. He had 3 of them in a row. Not the highest scoring, but 3 monster production, top 15 type scoring performances, one of which was the highest scoring of the year for any RB over McCaffrey over everybody. Superflex League ran Heineke last week. 14-team league. Team is Mahomes, Barkley, Kamara, K9, DJ Moore, Debo, Pickens, Kraft, Reed, Zamir White. Sharp's been streaming at QB. Superflex League. Okay, gotcha. You ran Heineke last week in week 14. Yeah, that's tough. I would say. What was your other question? What was your question on this? The ball. It was who was the QB? Brissett. Yeah, Brissett. If he's a go, Brissett's the guy. Unfortunately, in your Superflex spot. Appreciate you, DeBalt. DeBalt to the moon, dropping a wad. My boy, DeBalt. And thank you, Clayton, for the super chat. You're live, Jake, from Tampa. What can I do for you?
What's up, Smitty? I just want to call to say thank you for everything you've done. I found your channel like halfway through the season. I was able to get to the championship. This is my first time ever playing fantasy, so this is kind of new for me. I got a couple extra questions for you.
Yeah, hit me with it.
So last week I called in about Tua or Stafford, and you told me Stafford, and I still went with my gut. I picked Tua. Ended up being the wrong choice. How are we feeling about these guys this coming week?
By the way, this is not the correct matchups there. Let me close this out. I mean, look, Tua's capable at any moment. He's got a tough Baltimore matchup. You know, look what Purdy just did against the Ravens. So, I mean, while it doesn't scare me away from, like, look at Christian McCaffrey. He still, did well. Kittle still did well. I'm not really scared of, like, Hill. I'm not really scared of volume. I'm scared of mistakes throughout. You know what I mean? So the mistakes throughout will put potentially this Miami Dolphin team down, and volume will be there. So Hill will eat. HN will eat. Mostert will eat. But I believe, and again, the yardage can be there. McCaffrey just had a massive game against the Ravens. But I definitely feel like when it comes to the quarterback position, Tua is going to be a tougher play in week number 17 against the Ravens than I think Stafford will be. Stafford, and the other thing I talk about with Stafford is he's almost like matchup proof. Not to mention he gets the Giants, which is a fantastic matchup anyway. But let's say Stafford was in a kind of a tough bind matchup-wise. His offense is hard to contend and almost, say, oh, this defense is great against the pass. Well, Stafford's got two amazing Puka and Cooper Kupp weapons on top of a Kyron Williams that can catch passes with anybody in the National Football League and run to a top 5 running back degree. So you have just this plethora of weapons, but the matchup is the New York Giants. Stafford by a mile.
Yeah. I'm leaning that way now, too, especially after this last week.
Yeah.
Stafford really showed me something with going against a tough New Orleans defense.
Yeah.
I got another question for you. So how are we feeling about Tony Pollard? I mean, I have James Conner sitting on my bench. Are we at a point in the season where, like, maybe we want to make the swap?
Yeah, I mean, Conner, if you would ask me last week, Conner or Pollard, I don't know if you did.
I did. You said Conner, I think, but you were wavering on it.
Yeah, but so if I said Conner last week and Conner outscored Pollard this week, and Conner did pretty well, like he scored, right? He scored a touchdown. He had like, what was his total yards? Conner, like I said, he's capable of 2 TDs at any given moment. Last week, he scored a receiving touchdown, had 67 yards receiving, 5 receptions, 45 yards on the ground. If I was at a point of going toward Conner over Pollard last week, you can bet your bottom dollar I want that this week. I know you're clinging to Pollard and you're clinging to Tua, and I like Tua. I don't hate Tua, but you're clinging to them because you paid the price. I have a feeling you're one of those people that you paid this. I'm gonna use it, and that's why you're doing it.
I mean,
you got to let go of that, bro.
I was fighting the Pollard haters all year, the Pollard doubters. Like, he had that rough patch in the middle of the season. I was just, a lot of these people, like you said, are like box score Bobbies. Like, they don't watch a lot of the games.
Yeah,
like,
that's and all the
Pollard
Mostert
get stopped at the 1 yard line.
Yeah, and all the Mostert hate. That's why you don't even see me address half of it anymore. There's usually 1 or 2 people the whole show. They'll be like arguing with people in the chat, like, you can't start HN. You can't use HA. What do you expect him to do? It's like at some point I can't argue with the I don't know, the passionately fanatic anti-Achan people. At some point you just got to let it go. Otherwise the whole show would be about that. And people have a problem enough with me talking about them all the time. So like if I was to try and discuss in the chat over and over Achan, every time these Achan haters come in and say something, the whole show, every show would be about him. So I ignore it half the time because it's ridiculous. But
right.
But as for like Connor versus Pollard, and I'm a big fan of Pollard, they're not using him properly, bro.
I can see that.
The guy to play last week was Connor. The guy to play this week is Connor. So you just got to do it. Philly's a tough matchup, but
it's Philly at home too.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup. I mean, you're not crazy to want to go Pollard in this one, but they're also using Dowdle, so it's not like if they decide to run the ball and they run the ball well. And plus, it's Detroit. Like they're both tough matchups. Pollard is it at Detroit? No, it's at home. Pollard in Dallas against a tough Detroit defense, rushing defense, but sharing carries. And at what point do they maybe flip that switch?
Yeah.
And potentially give Dowdle more. You don't know if that will be this week. Give Connor the ball, bro. And not to mention, tough matchup. Who's Connor playing? Philly?
Philly.
Yeah. What is Philly against the run? Tough or easy? Tough. Tough against the run.
Yeah,
what is Philly against the pass? Easy. It's a pretty easy matchup against the pass. What did Connor just do last week? 67 yards receiving and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Are we really worried about Connor's matchup? We shouldn't.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, because I haven't been able to catch too many Cardinals games this year, and I know I heard you were a Cardinals fan. So, like, is that something that will be sustainable, or is that just like a one thing? Because he hasn't really done that this season.
What be sustainable?
Say it again.
What are you asking? What's sustainable?
Like his receiving volume, like his.
Well, I feel like you're not buying into Connor, bro.
No, I haven't watched him, so I can't.
I know, but like every time he's out there and healthy, he delivers. So like like last week, I've been saying I want to put him in because he's healthy, he's in there, he's going to get volume. Like it doesn't matter how they use him. Just no matter what they need. If they need him to catch, he catches. If they need him to run, he runs. Whatever the game script is, he's involved. So yeah, it's sustainable. But is he going to be consistent with how he produces it? No. Will he be consistent at the end of the day with total yards? Probably. But you're talking about Pollard, bro, who I like a lot, but he's falling out of favor and has a brutal matchup.
Yeah.
Okay, so you trust your gut. I don't want to convince you out of Pollard, and Pollard has 2 touchdowns, and we're actually in here, screaming and yelling because we are a big Pollard community. Sometimes somebody will ask a question like this, and I'll be like, I go Connor, and then Pollard does well, and there's a lot of people that said, do I sit Pollard for the scrub? And I'm like, no, man, he's Tony Pollard. We still have faith in him. And then Pollard goes nuts, and then you come back to the live stream, and we're like, Pollard to the moon! And you're like, what in the hell, bro? But you got to remember, everything is different. It's case by case, it's question by question, it's situation by situation. And you 100,000% need to factor in the trend that's going on in front of your face, and it's all a risk to go Pollard over Connor. It just is.
Yeah.
All right, hey, I got to roll, bro. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Later.
Yep,
Scared Scott,
good.
you're live.
Appreciate it.
Hello? Scared Scott?
Smitty.
Yeah.
You hear me? I have myself muted. You can hear me?
Are you Scared Scott?
No.
Oh,
okay.
shit. I thought I was talking. It's on
Yeah.
mute.
Okay, Scared Scott, you're live.
Wait, who's Scared Scott goes?
I got a couple of.
Well, hold on. Who's talking right now? Not Scared Scott. Who's the other guy?
Mike from Jersey.
But Mike, when I said, "Are you Scared Scott?" you just thought I call you Scott?
Yeah, I thought you were calling me a Scared Scott.
No. Okay. All right. Hey, hang on, Mike. 1 second. Scared Scott, you're up. You're live. Then Mike.
What? Here's an interesting question. Beatles.
Who the hell's talking right now? Who Who is screaming in the background right now? Who is that? Is that Chris from Indy?
It was indeed.
Is it Mike from Jersey?
No, it's Chris
I'm
from Indy.
muted.
Sorry.
Is
I'll
it?
mute.
Okay, so it was Chris from Indy. He just said no. All right, at least he was honest. So for
No,
that
I
reason.
said-
All right.
Yeah, it was me. I apologize.
All right. Yeah, mute real quick if you don't mind. Scared Scott, go ahead. Fields?
Fields
Your fun
against
question.
Arizona
Okay.
or Purdy against that god-awful Washington defense? Arizona's sixth worst against the quarterback, and
Scott,
Washington's the worst.
Fields doesn't play Arizona.
Or
He just played Arizona.
You're a week behind, bro. You're so scared you're looking at last week.
seriously?
Yeah. He plays
Come
Atlanta.
on.
He plays Atlanta.
Or Atlanta.
Oh, just because
It's
they
Atlanta.
both start
That's
with
what
an
I
A, they're the same thing? Okay, go ahead. What's your question?
Oh, well, that changes everything. 'cause
Yeah, you're
Atlanta's
not so
not
scared
that
anymore,
bad.
are you? He sees Atlanta lit up green, and he goes, "Oh, that's a good matchup."
Yeah, there's a big difference between Atlanta and Arizona.
You sure about that?
Do you roll with Purdy? You're rolling with Purdy in that situation, right?
Look, no, not necessarily. Purdy should bounce back against the Commanders, right? Purdy's got the Commanders. Scared Scott has Fields going up against the Falcons. They're both very, very good matchups. But at the end of the day, does anybody feel like Purdy's going to mess up again? Or do you think he's going to have that revival game where the Niner fans are hyping him up again? And I could see that happening. They're both good plays. Also, though, one thing to consider is that Purdy is probably going to be – they're going to want to get his confidence up and score some easy touchdowns against the Commanders team, but also they might run the ball a lot to get him comfortable, and I could see CMC having a day, the running game having a day, Debo getting some running back work and all that, and just scoring like 3 touchdowns without Purdy needing to do much. That might actually put Purdy into I would say put Purdy into like game manager mode. Like everyone's been saying, he's not a game manager. He might be this week to get his confidence back. So I don't know. Let's go to the chat. Chat, are we going Fields against the Atlanta Falcons, a.k.a. Arizona Cardinals? Or are we going with Purdy against the Commanders in a bounce back game? Let's have the chat vote on that one. All right, Scott, look to the chat. I'll give you my determination after I tally up the chat vote, and so listen offline. Appreciate you.
All right.
Scared Scott to the moon. All right, lateral Nicholas. Or actually, let's go over to interrupting Mike from Jersey. What's up, interrupting Mike? What can we do for you, pal? Appreciate you.
Yo, Smitty, man. So I started playing fantasy about 2 years ago. This is my 3rd year.
Nice.
Never made the playoffs. I joined this community, and I made the finals in all 3 of my leagues, man. So thank you. Shout out to you. First of all.
That's awesome, bro. That's a testimonial right there. Because like two and a half years is 2.5, 3 years. That's not a lot of time. You still need to pick up a lot of things. Yeah. So the fact that you're doing that's consistency. Not 1 league, not 2 leagues, but 3.
3.
Crazy,
I'm in the
bro.
finals in all 3, man. So, but I have a question
To the moon.
Each one. So my super flex league. If Pacheco doesn't play, would you play Ty Chandler, Christian Watson, or Ramondre?
Ty Chandler, Ty Chandler.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's easy, right? I was thinking the same thing. All right, cool.
Yeah, for now.
Next one is my half PPR league. I have 1 spot available. Probably it's probably the Saquon spot. I have him starting right now, but I could start Zay Flowers, Amari Cooper, or Achane. I'm thinking about benching Achane this week because I just need like safe points. I'm playing the team
One
I'm playing
spot.
against, he shouldn't.
One spot.
Yeah, I have 1 spot left.
Matchup be
Thinking
damned.
either safe-
Matchup be damned. How you gonna sit Amari Cooper off of that game, bro? Come on.
Sauce Gardner.
I know, but how are you gonna do it?
Something's telling me to do it. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm not gonna twist your. I'm not gonna twist your. Yeah, I'm not gonna twist your arm into it, but I'm just saying, like that's. That's tough.
That
That's
would
tough.
be fun. That would be fun. I live in Jersey. I'm a Jet fan, and I've seen what Sauce does to everybody. Like people don't do anything against him.
That's a tough one.
He's gonna be on Amari Cooper.
Okay, so
I think we're gonna shut.
If you sit Amari, you have Saquon, Achane, and who's the other option?
Yeah, so I'm starting Saquon, Gibbs, David Montgomery, Olave, CeeDee Lamb, and Puka. So I feel like Saquon is the weak link out of those guys, probably.
It's
either Achane.
Yeah, it's Achane for
Flowers.
me. If you're not going Amari, it's Achane for me. But that's pending news and such that could potentially up his value, lower his value. No practice all week, questionable tag, like all those things come into play. We're a little early to call it, but I'd say right now I lean that direction. But that's if you're sitting Amari. If you're hell bent on sitting Amari because of Sauce Gardner, Achane's the pick. But I think the general consensus in here is going to say, how do you not start Amari Cooper after that situation? Not to mention, will Sauce always be lined up against him? You're assuming Sauce will be locking him down. You don't know that Sauce will be on him the whole game anyway. It's not necessarily how it always goes.
True. I use a tool. It's called like the 33rd or whatever, and they tell you how guys do against each position, or like how a defense does against each position. And it's like every wide receiver just struggles against the Jets. I think they give up the least amount of points.
I know.
I don't want parts of that.
Yeah, but 260 plus yards and 2 touchdowns franchise. I mean, that's a big sit. All right, bro. Appreciate you.
All right, no doubt.
All right, later. I was interrupting Mike from Jersey. Appreciate him. Chris from Indy. Go ahead, pal.
Yeah, I need you to tell the people that they got breezed. Tell them what he put up.
Yeah. Gee, I don't know what you're talking about. You mean this?
Get breezed.
They got breezed. Boy, did they ever. I got right now Achane, Breece Hall, Tyron. On my bench, running back wise, Pollard, Swift, Pacheco, and Chandler.
Mute yourself if you could. 909 caller, who is this and where are you calling from? 909 caller, who is this and where are you calling from? The Space Shuttle? 909 caller, who is this? Where are you calling from? Can you hear me up there in space?
Yeah, he's there.
Bro doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, guy butt dialed us from space. Okay, I'm sorry, Chris. Give me your question one more time. I thought I'd add that quiet caller, but
you're good. Yeah, right.
God.
In my running back space, we're looking at Achane, Breece, and Kyron is who I got locked in as of right now.
Okay.
On the bench, Pollard, Swift, Pacheco, Chandler. And I don't know, I'm feeling pretty good about leaving Pollard on the bench, leaving Kansas City seems like they're in. I'm sure that Pat can get it together, whatnot. I have no doubt about them in the playoffs. They're going to be tough, but I mean, Pacheco couldn't absolutely.
So what's the question, bro? You're kind of confusing me with that. So who are you trying to potentially swap out?
Achane, Breece, and Kyron.
Okay, so you're saying, do I sit Achane for like Pollard? Do you sit Achane for okay? I agree with.
Or do you just roll with that forward?
I do, but we do need to find out what's the status of Achane. Like I said, a lot of moving parts. I almost can't answer this question at all for people. I don't even want to really lean until we know what's going on. Waddle's status, Achane's status, everything getting decided. What's it all look like? We'll definitely be doing that on the 8 p.m. show tonight. Okay, which I gotta wrap up this because we're gonna be back in less than 40 minutes. So for right now, bro, keep that in there, and then we'll monitor Achane. All right. Call back for the 8 p.m. show. I'll look for you, Chris. Later.
They got breezed.
They did, bro. They got breezed. Lateral, Nicholas, you got 30 seconds. Actually, 20.
Hey, Smitty. So I just had a question about formatting for playoffs. So my league, it's seeding, and then it's also a bracket. So the number one plays the winner of 4-5, and the number 2 seed plays 3-6. I was just wondering if you did anything different, or if other people in the chat said anything different, because I was under the assumption that being the number 1 seed, I would play the lowest seed no matter what. But I didn't, and I lost to the 5th seed, and the number 6 seed put up 90 points. So I was a little salty.
I don't know why it would be any different. The highest seed, so if you're the 1 seed, you play the 6 seed. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why your commissioner would set up anything different. The one seed should play
I'm the commissioner, but that was the default. I thought I changed it to seeding, but that was the default ESPN. And when I tried to change it,
I don't know.
Well, I didn't change it because I know people would.
I don't know why. Why would it do that though? I don't know why this setting would default to not having the 1 seed play the 6 seed. You're telling me the one?
I'm not sure, but I checked in all of my other leagues and it was the same way.
So the 1 seed played the 5 seed?
Yeah. Well, they play it's a bracket. So it's the 1 seed plays the 4 or 5, and then the 2 seed plays the 3 or 6.
Okay, but it's dependent on who made it through the last week, bro. So like let's say it's like this. So the one seed over here plays the 6 seed, and so if let's say the 6 seed won, they would advance to this part of the bracket, and so it could be off kilter in week 2, I imagine. Yeah, I don't think it just resorts. Maybe it depends on your setup. I have no problem with it not resorting, just as long as in round 1 the 1 seed played the 6 seed, or if the 1 seed had a bye, whatever the case may be. So
yeah, it was because there was buys.
Yeah, so
1 and 2 had a bye.
Yeah, if the underdog won and advanced through that bracket, I have no problem with it not rearranging. Kind of think of it like, yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't know on ESPN, to be honest, but I don't. Yeah. I let the system take care of it. So if the system did it, the system did it. I don't mess around with reseeding that crap.
Yeah, that's what happened. I was the commissioner, and I just set it up with the buys, and that's how it took place.
As a commissioner, the way around that, bro, is to say in your commissioner message at the beginning of the year, lay out your rules for everything, bro. 3rd tiebreaker, 4th tiebreaker, get crazy with it. Just make sure your rules should have everything in it, bro. You should not have to commission a thing. And if people complain and want something overturned, that should be written in your rules. You have a voting process, and that vote requires 10 out of 12 owners to change something. So if 10 out of 12 owners, and you're one of those 2 not in that 10, that means there's one other person. If 10 out of 12 owners want something, that's the majority of the league. I'm fine with doing something like that. Like, and maybe it has to qualify for a vote or whatever. Your league rules should have everything, and I don't even need to commission anything. And that's why I'm going to have a commissioner boot camp.
Yeah.
Commission should not be stressful at all. You literally shouldn't have these debates. It's like they can complain all they want. It's like it's in the rules. Yeah, but we shouldn't be doing in the rules. But the payout should be. It's in the rules. And for you say the system will decide the order, and how the system determines a win, how the system determines scoring, how the system determines anything is the way it is. I don't overrule. I don't care if you think somebody got a fumble and it didn't count. What do we do? Should we research the internet or comb through everything? If the system, ESPN, says that it's a fumble and not an INT, then it's a fumble. And there's so many people complaining that it's going to be corrected if it's an error. You'll be fine. I've never seen somebody lose a league because the system messed up. It's that the person wasn't happy with the way that it was scored. It is what it is. Get to your league rules, map out everything. Think of it in the off season. Think of everything. Tiebreakers. Who's whatever. You could figure it out. If everything ties.
Yeah, this is my first league commissioning, so or first year commissioning. So I'll definitely do that next year. But
all right, bro.
Yeah, I'm in the finals in 4 of my leagues.
Congrats.
So good luck to everyone.
All right,
the moon.
Hey, I'll see you on the APM show. Appreciate you, bro. All right, I gotta roll. Last super chat, and then we'll come back for the APM show. TP31, $10 holler, $10 holler gets to the moon. A super chat, a moonshot. Waiver defense championship opponent has Flacco, Swift, Javonte, Tyreek, Waddle. Kincaid grabs Zamir since I have Fields and could pass to Herbert. grab Zamir since I have Fields and could pass to Herbert. I don't know what you're asking here, bro. I'm a little confused as to the wording. Let me just tell you this. I think this will answer your question. Herbert, number 1. Zamir White, if he's starting, could rival Herbert, but I'd still say Herbert might be the number 1. I just think that, like, if we knew Jacobs was out, they would be kind of just tied. And I don't care about who's got what quarterback. They're pretty dead even. Like, you almost want to say make a claim for Herbert now because Zamir's in flux. You know, you don't know what's up. Let him grab Clyde or let him not grab White. Grab Herbert, put in a second claim for White, try and grab them both, I guess, to block. If that's what you're saying. You're in waiver defense. Championship opponent has Flacco. Waiver defense. You're in defense mode, right? I think I picked that up. So Herbert's my 1 because of the unknowns here. White has to be 3. Clyde 2 because we don't know the status of Jacobs. We kind of know Pacheco's status more than, and even so, they'll use Clyde a lot with McKinnon on IR. So that's kind of my take on that. TP31, if I got that wrong, let me know, especially call into the 8 p.m. show and I can get you squared away if I, for any reason, didn't pick up on what you were asking. I appreciate every single one of your super chats. I'll see you for the 8 p.m. show. Deuces for now. Thank you for watching the Week 17 Waiver Wire show and the TJ Hockenson breaking news segment. TJ out for the year, torn ACL, torn MCL as well, and his Week 1 status is very much up in the air walking into 2024 Week 1. See you all at 8 p.m. in like 30 minutes.